everyone, welcome to podcast number 20. Now, before we get into the actual podcast, I want you guys to stay tuned till the very end because I'm going to provide you with a link to take part in this survey about digital drawing versus traditional drawing. And my gift to you guys for participating in the survey is you can download a video that talks about edges and when to use hard edges and when to use soft edges. So stay tuned for the end of this podcast. Click on that link. It'll bring you to a web page where you can take part in the survey and download the free video. Thanks for watching the podcast, and let's get into it. Hi everyone, welcome to podcast number 20 at drawingtutorialsonline.com. My name is Matthew Archambault. Man, it's been some time since we uploaded a podcast, but we have been consistently uploading content at DTO every single week, and we only had one digital drawing podcast in all the 19 that I've uploaded, and I want to share with you a drawing that I'm almost complete with. I say I have a few more hours on it, and that's, you know, half of those few hours is probably going to be just me staring at it to make sure that things aren't, you know, overdone or underdone in certain areas. So it's a lot of looking. But recently, about a month ago, I posted this this survey for members of drawingtutorialsonline.com. Would you like to see more digital tutorials, or would you like to see more traditional tutorials using a pencil? And so if we look at the results, it's almost 60-40, okay? And that's what I was kind of hoping it would turn out to be. Originally, for about like 2.5, 3 weeks, it was 80-20, and I'm like, oh God, 80-20, you know, I like drawing with the color erase. I always draw with a color erase. You guys have seen me draw with a color erase, but I'm really, as of late, getting into the digital tutorials. And so I want to share with you a drawing that I'm going to be finishing. Gosh, that's our last layer. Let's just take it from the top. I want to show you guys a drawing where there's a 4-part tutorial, and basically it started in a composition tutorial. So here's our background layer. If we go to our next layer, our compositional tutorial was you use this center line to make your drawing symmetrical or non-symmetrical. And so this one is obviously totally off balance, totally non-symmetrical, and this is where we started the tutorial, and I kind of just like scribbled it in. And then in the next layer we spoke about this other thing called compositional shapes, and your compositional shapes are this shape that I just showed you in the background, okay? And it kind of could be a triangle, an L shape, it could be anything, but it's supposed to be behind your main character. So we spoke about the center line, we spoke about symmetry, and then we spoke about big shapes, and then we also started to give different variations with the shapes. So with this one, we wound up doing our shape in the opposite direction, kind of something like that. So this is about where we were at with drawing the model, and we were working from a photograph of a past student that I had. And so as we progressed, we started to also talk about when your images, you kind of think about which direction your figure is looking in. Are they looking in the past, or are they looking into the future? And that is a big decision-making thing that you can utilize when you're setting up an illustration or a piece of fine art, or even in animation for that matter, where you're trying to say to yourself, well, which way is my character facing and why? And are they waiting for somebody? Are they looking into their past? So we spoke about that as well. And as we progressed, then I think we brought it to about this point, and I left the tutorial. And this is where I asked everybody in that composition tutorial, hey, would you like to see me push it to the next level? And I got a pretty good response, and I wanted to do it anyways. So I just said, you know, okay, we got a good response. Let me just kind of go for it. So we started piling on, and we started rendering. And the name of this tutorial is how to take your drawings up to the next level. So our first part was just kind of getting on in and doing some rendering with her face. Now with this particular drawing, I didn't want it to be one of those really soft, rubbery type skin tone Photoshop drawings. I wanted to purposely make it a little bit more stylized and put in the linear texture. Okay, I did that on purpose. I mean, I could blend it, but let's go to the next layer. So that was in part number 1. I think this is also part number 1 as well. So I started to do a little bit on her hair, a little bit on her face, just doing the measuring. Okay, and then when we got to part number 2, You guys probably saw me do the drawing tip of the week with the ear, and we spoke about ear placement, and I just measured a little bit more and did a little bit more in the skin tone, part number 2, and yeah, just pushing a little bit of the background. As we progressed, I just worked on her hair, even more so in part number 2. And you guys look at the big difference between part number 1, part number 2, where I really extended the back of her head, and we worked on proportions a little bit more. We worked on trying to get the hair to not look like a helmet. So moving forward, our next part number 3 was all about drawing the fabric. Okay, and I made a big boo-boo. The original image, I saved the original as a much smaller image, and so I had to I had a duplicate saved, and I had to kind of copy and paste the fabric in this layer 11 from the duplicate. So that kind of got a little hairy. So we got into drawing the fabric in part number 3, and then I think part number 4 is probably going to be our last part, and layer 12 and layer 13. So in layer 12, we kind of just went around and we refined. So if we go back, yeah, we just kind of refined a little bit of everything, just making everything look a little bit more polished. And then closing out part number 4, we started to take the background to another level. And I noticed, like in this background, it's very, very soft, and it just doesn't match her. So the key is, and when you're working in Photoshop and you're doing this drawing slash painting type of thing, you don't want to use the brushes to kind of use you don't want to use the software too much, where it's overly obvious that you're using this butterfly brush or whatever, or this flower brush, and it just looks so darn obvious. Like, you still have to draw things out, and you can see I am using some of the brushes as a background texture, but I'm also just kind of going on in there and making that wall become one with the model. So the texture is pretty darn consistent throughout, where you're really getting this linear thing happening with the line, and the line is modeling her. So what do I have left now on this? Basically, I'm just gonna work the whole drawing now. I want to go back into her hair. Her hair is not finished. I need to kind of make that a little bit more volume-esque. It seems in one or two spots a little flat. I'm still not 100% with the skin tone. Like, there's parts of the drawing that could be really pushed. I need to push her nose. I need to kind of work around her lips, and maybe punch up the glass frame a little bit more. So there's quite a bit I have to do. I would say, like I said earlier, I need to spend about 3 hours working on this. Now, when you're filming a Photoshop tutorial, it's quite different than filming a regular drawing tutorial, because it's a little tedious to watch this little cursor kind of, popping around the page here. And yeah, let's go to layer 13. So, I didn't film 100% of this. I would say I filmed about 50% of the drawing, and I tried to hit on all of the main parts. So I just want to share with you that we do these Photoshop digital drawing tutorials, but you want to know something? It's all predicated on the pencil, and it's all predicated on the regular paintbrush, because as I was working on this digital drawing slash painting, I don't know what to call it right now, it's kind of in between, it just kept lodging memories in my brain of when I was an illustrator full-time, and I did these paintings that took me a week to paint. And I sat here and I'm rendering out the fabric, and I'm like, you know what, this just is the same identical process that I've done with a paintbrush that I'm doing here with the digital drawing stuff. So there you go, that was cool. I always like screwing up in Photoshop. I'm just totally native to traditional medium, and so Photoshop is not my first learning tool in terms of drawing. But you want to know something? If you can draw traditionally, and if you can paint traditionally, easing into doing a Photoshop drawing like this is just it's not that bad. It's not that bad. You just really got to have patience. And what am I working on? You guys know I've mentioned this before in the past. I'm using a regular 21-inch Cintiq screen from Wacom, and I'm using CS5. You know, nothing really fancy. I'm doing everything with some just basic brushes, and you know, nothing crazy. A lot of what I do is I draw and paint translucently with, you know, a 20 to 30% opacity. And yeah, I just kind of want to share that with you guys, what I've been up to as of late. And if you're interested in seeing me take this from start to finish, I gotta admit, it's a tedious one to watch. So you've got to really be into realism. I remember back in the day when I was a young student and I was in painting class, I mean, I had a teacher who never spoke, and a lot of the students actually really complained about that teacher. I loved it, and I'm like, please, you know, don't fire this guy. Keep him. He's great. I just watch him, and I watch what brushes he uses. I watch when he blends with a big brush, and I watch when he does all the middle tones. And I don't need to hear words from this teacher. I just need to watch him paint. And so it's the same thing with this. Although it's over a 4, we're probably at 5 hours now of actual video. Even if you were to watch half of it and you're like, okay, I've had enough, I can't watch anymore, you still would gain so much from the tutorial. So I just want to share this with you. I really appreciate you guys, you know, watching these podcasts and watching the video tips of the week. I'm going to post this video both at my website, drawingtutorialsonline.com, and also the blog. And if you want to leave a comment, I would really appreciate it. Let me know what you think about this. And I'm going to do my very best to post the survey up as well, so non-members can also vote on the survey. I'll make a new survey for non-members, and you guys tell me what you like. Do you like traditional stuff? Do you like digital, or do you like a combination of the two? So thanks so much for watching, you guys, and I'll talk to you soon.